Hey friends, members of the community, and everyone tuning in from across the Astrotribe network. Welcome back. So here's what's going on. Over the next 4 weeks, I'll be delivering your weekly cosmic transits right here on this Substack series. Think of it as your astro weather forecast, but instead of umbrellas, we're going to be working with emotional clarity and transformation. So this also includes access to a ready-made supportive online community, and your contribution comes in comments with your questions that you might have as we move along this 4-week series. So this is Astrotribe, Learn as You Grow series designed to help you understand astrology, read parts of your own chart, and open your mind to the language of the cosmos. So hopefully while you're here, you learn something that you didn't know before. And because we're not about sitting behind a screen 24/7, part of this course includes moving our bodies. So stay tuned and scroll down to the end of this article for a quick desktop stretching exercise. All right, so let's dive into the cosmic weather. First off, last week's big transit to note was Neptune retrograding back into Pisces on October 22nd. So let's jump into dissecting this transit that impacts us all collectively. Neptune has returned to Pisces for the last time in our lives after visiting Aries for the last 7 months. So it's been giving us a preview of what's to come. Emotions will be running high and completions will be likely. So this is what we've just been experiencing these last months. It's very tumultuous time, right? Neptune first entered Pisces in 2011 and for a few months returned to Aquarius and then re-entered Pisces in February of 2012, where it stayed until March 30th of 2025. So here's the thing. Neptune, these outer planets, right? The planet Neptune specifically is the planet of illusion and idealism. When it goes back into Pisces, the vibes get extra foggy, very ethereal. It's like living inside of a Monet painting or visiting Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. So allow your imagination to like seep into everything that you do, but stay anchored, stay grounded. You don't need to escape reality to make your magic happen. So Neptune will remain retrograde for the first 3 weeks of this transit. When it stations direct on December 10th, clarity will begin to return. Then once it moves direct into Aries in early 2026, we will be reminded of these last months, these last 5 months that we've gone through, and thinking about how far we've come. And I'm thinking about where we were back in March, and since then, wondering how things would play out, how bad it might all get, and where we are now as a collective. And for sure, protests are helpful, but until actions speak louder than a billionaire's shrinking bank account, protests alone are not enough. Neptune in Pisces is the dreamiest of dreamy, and Neptune in Aries is a cold glass of water that wakes us up out of escapism and brings us right back down to earth. So I do think that next year, with Neptune in Aries, will be a little less delusional for us collectively. Perhaps that helps to know. But during this period, your dreams might be more intense. You actually might feel more creative. When Neptune enters Aries again on January 26th of next year, the energy to bring what we are dreaming about now will be more available then. We'll be more grounded to do that execution. Neptune in Aries will help shepherd many new beginnings and some brand new that have just been percolating, just waiting to come to the fore. So if you'd like to go deeper, look into which house that Pisces occupies your natal chart. And that's where this transit is activating the reflection and release. So for now, for a reflection exercise, think back to April 2011. That's when Neptune first entered Pisces. What story began then for you? And how have you grown more grounded, expressive, creative, emotionally intelligent since then? And if you really want to dig a little bit further, flip through your journals from earlier this year, like from March, April, May, June. Neptune is retracing some of those same degrees. So what big themes or repeating patterns surfaced late winter or early spring of 2025? They're coming back up now for reflection and healing and closure. So be honest, be gentle, anchor yourself, and don't get lost in the sea of delusion that Neptune energy can bring us. As we are rounding out the year, I'm highlighting only a few major transits for October and November for this series, but I'm happy to tell you that it's not the loudest quarter of the year. In fact, it's probably the quietest. No eclipses. There are no major planets moving into a new sign. There's actually these two major planets that are moving back into their old signs, Neptune and Saturn, going back into Pisces. And this is giving us a reflection moment for the rest of the year. Along with Neptune, Saturn, like I mentioned, is retrograding in Pisces since September. So that gives us a moment to be a little bit more adaptable to the tremendous amount of change that is occurring, that has occurred, and teaching us these tough lessons that we're meant to learn. On November 7th, Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus. It moved into Gemini back in July, which whipped us all into a frenzy that I'm sure will give many talking points to discuss this year in the history books, from fast advancements in tech to many issues in regarding to the element of air, like how we deal with aspects of climate change. These were all recently highlighted in headlines. But now with Uranus moving back into Taurus, we can sense discussions shift to an earth-based topic. So for instance, money. The happenings around our financial, global security, instability, recession-like scenarios are going to come to surface, conversations around that. And we'll probably see something about cryptocurrency surface as a moment to define its future on the global market. Uranus will be moving through Taurus for the following 6 months. So in the beginning, it's going to feel like we're going back to wrap up a few themes, particularly about material wealth and Earth's natural resources. So let's take that moment to steer narratives into a more hopeful looking future. As we already know, it's going to be a really tough next decade, if not longer, to recover from what's coming or from what's already here, depending on how you look at this. So again, the last quarter of this year has a lot of themes of returning, going back to something older or back to something that we put down in the first quarter of this year. But helping us all to anchor more joy currently this week is a grand water trine, which began actually last week on the 24th with Mercury and Scorpio trining Jupiter in Cancer. So this is a lengthy aspect, those little lines that happen in the middle of our natal charts. They can also chart transits that are happening on a collective scale. And this aspect with multiple planets trining at different times, and trines are very harmonious. So that will occur throughout the rest of the fall, leading up to the winter solstice. So this actually gives us a nice big breather for these coming weeks. Because these trines are all happening in water signs, expect more open-hearted energy from those who are available, and expect more distress from those who choose to keep their emotions locked inside. The water will be knocking on tightly closed doors at times, forcing openings with its strength. Those are the notes that I've taken on that. Also, last mention, the Mercury's next retrograde is marked with the high traffic dates of November 9th through November 29th. So those are the weeks that are going to be the most prominent. We are already in its pre-shadow period right now. So you might already see some stuff getting mixed up or confused in terms of your communication, your tech, your how messages come across. Yeah, ground yourself in these coming 6 weeks and plan time ahead for mishaps. Yeah, that's my note for Mercury retrograde. Otherwise, we can sail right through it. Now, that's a wrap for this episode in covering a few important transits. And how is this all showing up for you? Remember to check your chart for more insight. And if you've got more questions, just reach out at any time during this 4-week series. This whole series is a thank you, a freebie promo for current paid or comp subscribers where I build the new digital library and expand my teachings as part of my business model. So I'm appreciating you and thanking you in advance for making it this far if you have. I am separating these audio clips for people who really just want to hear about the weekly astro transits and what's going on in the current cosmic report. And then I separate the yoga bits and the stretching on other clips. So I hope for my audience, it's not too much and too overwhelming, and, take what resonates and leave the rest. And with that, I'm wishing you a wonderful day or evening, depending on where you are and when you are reading this. And take care of your soul. Namaste.